Hello learners, welcome back to the course on construction methodology. In this lecture, we'll try to see how practically the beam reinforcements are arranged at the site, and we'll also try to connect that thing with the practical drawing, and we'll try to understand it in a more better way. So we'll quickly get into that. Yeah, so I'll try to play a video. So in this, along with the video, I'll try to explain you along with the drawing so that each and everything is understood to us. Yeah, so I'll try to play the video now. Yeah, so this is how the beam reinforcement are arranged. Now what you can see right now, see all the slab centering and the beam bottom, we have already completed it, right? Even these things we saw it in our previous lecture, where the beam bottom, the beam sides and the slab centering plates, everything was fixed up. Yeah, everything was put up. The only thing that was left is I have to put my beam reinforcement, and once the beam reinforcement is done, I'll apply the oil and all, and after that we are going to place the slab reinforcement. So in this particular lecture, my concentration will be only on how the beam reinforcement are put up practically at the site. So all these are the beam reinforcement what we have arranged it here, right? You can see all these are the beam reinforcement, they have arranged it here. So now the question arises, why we need to keep all this beam reinforcement in this way, right? We'll try to see it here. Now I'll pause it for a while. So in this video we'll try to pause and we'll try to see the video. Okay, so you can see all this reinforcement will go inside this beam. Along with that, you have another reinforcement here. All this reinforcement will go inside this particular beam, right? So all these are the laborers who are working on the site. You can see them. Okay, and this is how they do. See, the reason is that all these laborers those are working on the site, I'll go back. Yeah, all these laborers who are working on the site, no, they all are unskilled laborers, so they don't have enough knowledge. So if you tell them to read the drawings and do the execution, it is difficult for them. So for the ease of our work as an engineer, what I try to do, I cut all the bar in the bottom, and from there I take it to the place where the beam has to be arranged, and I'll arrange it in this way. You can see, right, all these are the beams are arranged so that the people those are standing over there, right, they'll understand that in the bottom I need to provide 2 bar, top I need to provide 2 bar and all. So all the bars are arranged here. You just have to tell them, so based on that they are going to do the work. Okay, so this is how it is done. And once all these bars are arranged, right, you can see the bars here, and these are the stirrups what they've arranged here. So what they do, they take each and every bar, and he's a contractor standing, and what they're going to do, they're going to place the bar over this runner. They're not directly going to insert the bar. Look at this. So because my beam has to pass through the column, right, so that is where they're lifting the bar, and from there they're placing it inside the column. So this is how we do practically at the side. And you have the runner here, right? You can see the runner here. Yeah, all these are the runners. I mean, we are not going to directly place the reinforcement into the beam. We'll keep it over this, and after that we'll try to arrange it, right? So this is how all the bars are kept here. I'll try, and he's trying to arrange it because he has cut the bar according to the length that is required. So he is going to arrange it so that they are going to get the exact measurement at the site. So this is how they are doing. I'll try to go forward a bit, right? So once all things are arranged, so this is how he's doing the arrangement. So you can see this, right? So this is my column. Inside the column my beam reinforcement is going, right? Yeah. One thing I want to add here, these are the local people those are working here, so you don't find them wearing a shoes. Okay, but when you work for big companies and all, you have to, the laborers and even the site engineer has to wear the shoes. Since these are the local people, that is fine, it is okay, not a issue with that. Okay, yeah, we'll not concentrate on that. You can see here, right, all the, this beam reinforcement, can you see it has passed through the column. So usually both the reinforcement has to be passed through the column, but these people don't bend it and all. What they do is they take two reinforcement inside the column, and the other two they have put it outside the column. That is fine, not a issue with that. Okay, yeah, so this is how we try to arrange it. So once we do the arrangement, next is we have to do the marking, right? I don't know, let's see, when we, yeah, before that I'll show you a practical drawing, and after that we'll try to understand this in a more better way. So once that is done, what this guy is doing, he's going to do the marking now. Now just see the marking what he's doing, and then I'll explain you. So he has taken some measurement, and based on that measurement he's marking it here. Okay, so this is what he has done, the marking. And after that he's going to mark the stirrup spacing. You can see here, right? He's marking some 5 inches, 5 inches, 5 inches. All these are 5 inches. Okay, so the see, look at this. This is 5 inch. Okay, this is 5 inch, like five, five, five. So everywhere he's marking 5 inches. So this will help him to place the stirrups. Now we'll try to see this with the drawing. As of now, concentrate here. So all these are the marking what is doing for the stirrup to be placed. In the same way, on the other side also we have to follow the same thing. Again here, from the face of the column, he is marking the distance again. Yeah, he's marking the distance. And after that, what he's going to do, he's going to mark the center to center spacing. That is, let us say, this is also 5 inch. So he's marking all these 5 inches, 5 inches, 5 inches. All these are 5 inches, 5 inches. That is 125 mm. All these are the marking what he's doing. This is also 5 inches. This is also 5 inches. Everywhere it is 5 inches. Yeah, I'll try to pause it here. Now we'll try to get into the drawing, right? Yeah, so this is how the drawing is all about. Yeah, yeah. So right now what we are doing, the one where they're working, they're working on this particular span. That is, there is one beam called b1. Yeah, there's one beam called b1, and the size of that beam is 9 inch by 21 inch. You can see it here. And there is one more beam from this column to this column. The name of that beam is b2, which is again 9 inch by 21 inch. That means we have a full beam running from here to here. So this one beam is from this column to this column, right? This column to this column, this beam is called as b1. And from this column to this column, this is my another beam, which is b2, which is 9 inch by 21 inch. So this is the breadth and the depth of the beam. Right now what they are doing, they are marking the reinforcement. For that, see, this is my ground floor plan layout. If you understand the drawing, so this is how it is. Ground floor roof shuttering details, right? This is what he has given. So along with that, what happens, along with that, they are going to give you beam reinforcement. So this is a beam reinforcement. Now how we have to understand this? What is the name of this particular beam? Right now we are concerned with this beam, right? We are concerned with only this beam. So the name of the beam is b1, and also the name of the beam is b2. For this particular beam, what is the reinforcement that we need to check, right? So that is why I'll go to the beam reinforcement and I'll see b1 beam, right? I'm concerned with b1, so I'll go to the b1 beam. So I'll go to the b1. So can you observe it here? Yeah, I'll try to zoom in, and so this is how it looks. Yeah, so this is how it looks. So this is my b1. It's written again 9 inch by 21 inch, and this is my one column. This is my center column as you saw in the drawing, and this is my third column. If you're not able to understand, so this is one column here. The one which is in a gray, it is a second column, and this is my third column. Okay, so that is why I can see the drawing in this way. One column, this is my second column, and this is my third column, right? So right now what he has what he has done the marking, see. So these are the stirrups what you have to place. Can you see here? It's written stirrups. That is tor stands for twisted or reinforcement. You have to use 8 mm diameter bar of two-legged, and we know what is two-legged. We already seen it that. So near the support, you have to provide the spacing at 5 inch center to center spacing. From here, you have to provide spacing at 5 inch center to center spacing, and the center it is 10 inches center to center spacing. What is this all things? These are the center to center spacing of the stirrups. In the same way, we'll try to see what is the reinforcement, right? Right now you saw he had first tried to fix the bottom bars and all. So it's written that in that particular beam, you need to provide 20 diameter 2 bar at the top. You need to provide 20 diameter 2 bar at the top in this particular. I'm just speaking of this beam. This beam and this beam. Will not concentrate on this beam. Try to concentrate on this beam as well as this beam. So you need to provide 20 diameter 2 bar at the top. In the same way, you need to provide another 20 diameter of the 2 bar in the bottom. What is that? You have to provide 20 diameter 2 bar at the top, and you need to provide 20 diameter 2 bar in the bottom. Forget about the 16 diameter 2 bar. That is an extra bar. We'll try to see it later. As of now, just concentrate 20 diameter 2 bar in the bottom, 20 diameter 2 bar in the top. Okay, so that is what we were seeing in the Yeah, this is what we were saying. So this guy is marking that we saw the 5-inch center to center, we saw 10-inch center to center, right? So this guy is marking all those things on this particular bar. So once all the marking is done, once all the marking is done, what they do, they try to lift the bar, so that according to my drawing I need 2 bar in the top and 2 bar in the bottom, right? So that is, see, right now you can see, I'll pause it for a while so that we'll try to understand. See, this is one, this is second bar, this is my third bar, this is fourth bar. As of now all the 4 bar in the same place, but when we try to lift this, 2 bar will go to the top and 2 bar will stay in the bottom itself. So according to my drawing, I understood that I need to provide 20 diameter 2 bar at the top and 20 diameter 2 bar in the bottom. So once all the marking is done, I'll try to go forward a bit. Yeah. So this is how they're doing the marking. Okay. So this guy is doing the marking on the other side. He's doing that same marking of the stirrups that we saw, right? 5-inch center to center spacing, and in the center region we need to provide 10-inch center to center spacing. So this guy is marking that 5-inch and 10 inches to each and every place so that he can place the stirrups over that. So we'll try to understand this. Yeah. Once all those things are done, what they do, he's counting the number of stirrups now, right? So based on that, what he's having a drawing with him, and with that we are doing the same drawing which I saw, which I taught you now. The same drawing will be there with us when we do the execution at the site. So he's trying how many numbers of stirrups will come. So whatever stirrups they've arranged, so this is how they try to put the stirrups. You can see the stirrups, right? So try to see how they're arranging. So now this marking will help him to place his stirrups. So this is called as two leg stirrup because there is one leg here and the second leg is here. That is why it is called as two leg stirrup. If you want, I'll pause it. See, this is called as, this entire thing is called as stirrup. This is made up of 8 mm. Okay. And this is one leg and this is my second leg. Okay. If you want, I'll make use of a pen so that, yeah. So this is one leg and this is my second leg. That is why it is called as two legged stirrup. And in the same way, this is made up of 8 mm bar. This is made up of 8 mm bar. All these things it was written in the drawing. That is why we are doing the same execution at the side. Suppose in the drawing, instead of 8 mm, if it was written 10 mm, then we would have used a 10 mm bar here. Okay, so that is how it is done. I'll discard it again. Yeah. So you can see the marking, right? So based on this marking, he'll open up this stirrup, and from this, and this is how he's going to pass it, and from there he's going to take it down. So in the same way, he'll try to arrange it for all the stirrups. You can see the marking here. So wherever they have done the marking, there is going to keep the stirrup. I'll try to go ahead a bit, right? So this is how they are doing, and the guy from the other side, he will also do the same thing, right? So this guy is doing it from this side. They're putting it inside the beam, I mean the beam reinforcement. This is a marking, that is why it's going to keep it here. So this is a marking what they've done, that is why they are going to place it. Okay, I hope it is understood up to here. I'll try to go a bit forward. Yeah. So once all these bars are placed, the next thing is you have to raise this bar so that I'll get 2 bar at the top and two bars in the bottom. We'll try to see that. Yeah. So has counted everything. This guy is counting whether they have given proper spacing or not. And once all those things are done, we'll try to lift it up. And one thing, try to understand always, this is the face of my column. I'll make use of a pointer. Yeah. This is my face of the column. Okay, this is my face of the column. Always remember, the first stirrup that you have to place should not be more than 50 mm from the face of the column. What I'm trying to tell you, see, this is my face of the column, this is my column, and from here my beam is going to start. You can see the first stirrup, right? So this first stirrup should not be more than 50 mm. So that is written in IS 456, it is written in the clause that, I mean, IS for physics, and if you refer IS 13920 for ductile detailing, it is written that from the face of this. Okay, I'll try to erase it. Let me do it in a better way. Yeah, so this is my face of the column. Okay, and from this face, this stirrup, what you can see here, okay, this should not be more than uh, that should not be more than that should not be more than 50 mm to do that. Yeah, this should not be. Okay, let it be. This should not be more than. I'll not make use of this. Okay, I'll write it here. That should not be more than 50 mm. So from here to here, this should not be more than 50 mm. So this is written in the IS 13920 code book. So that thing we need to follow at this side. Usually we try to follow that this distance should not be greater than 50 mm, right? Yeah, I'll try to erase it. Yeah, I hope it is understood. Yeah, so this distance should not be greater than 50 mm. And these things, according to the drawing, it is mentioned from here to here, you need to provide 5 inches center to center spacing. 5 inch comes out to be 125 mm. Again, from here to here, again, it is 5 inch, 5 inch. So this is how it goes. Yeah, we'll try to go forward again. Let me erase it again. Yeah. As of now, you can't see any bars in the bottom. Now he is going to lift it. Once it's lifted, we'll try to see that. Yeah, yeah, it's here. So once these things are done, now you can see that they'll try to lift two bar to the top, so that this will match according to my drawing. Now look at this. You saw it, right? What they have done, they have lifted two bar, and they'll try it, and they'll tie it with the help of a binding wire, so that this will match exactly to the drawing what I have read it. That is, two bar should be at the top and two bar should be in the bottom. So what you're going to see, you're going to see two bar in the top and you're going to see two bar in the bottom. And all these are my stirrups, which is two leg. This is one leg and this is my second leg, right? This is my first leg and this is my second leg, right? So he has a binding wire with him, the bar bender. Now whatever marking we have done, with the help of a binding wire, he'll try to bind it. Now what they are going to do, they are going to do the binding of it, so that they're going to get the exact shape and the proper spacing of the stirrup. So I'll try to go a bit. So right, so with the help of the binding wire, we'll go forward. So this is how they are doing. With the help of a binding wire, they're tying all the stirrups. I'm using a word stirrups again. Since it is a beam, I'm making use of a word called stirrups. So stirrups are generally provided to take this shear force. We'll try to see that what is shear force and all in due course of the time, because near the, yeah, so this is how it is. Okay, yeah, so this is how those space, this is two leg, as I mentioned. All these things we'll try to arrange. We'll try to go forward again. It will take some time for them to do the binding. Okay, similarly, those said those people will be working. And yeah, I'll go back. Yeah, so this is how it looks, your beam, once it is ready. So this is how my beam is going to look. Yeah, so this side two people are working. So on the other side, what they are going to do, they'll try to put up the next bar, right? They cannot waste the time, right? So what they are going to do again, those two people, those are free now. They'll try to bind, I mean, they'll try to fix the other beam. We'll see that again. Yeah, this beam here, the two guys are ready, and they're, with the help of the bar, they have come here. Again, this is my column. So as I mentioned, my column, this bar should pass from my column, right? So you'll try to lift it. Again, they'll try to place it inside the column. So this is how they do, right? He's lifting now. He'll lift it, and this guy will help him. And from there, they are going to pass it through the column, because my beam has to pass through a column, right? And this is how they are arranging. This is called as a runner. You can call this as wooden runner. And over that, we are going to place my bar. Again, the same procedure follows up. How is that? Again, that guy will come. He'll do the marking. You can see that, right? This guy is doing the marking again. so that it is easy for him to place the stirrup. The same procedure holds good for all the beams that we are going to do. This is a procedure what we follow. Everywhere we have to do the marking. Looking at the drawing, we'll try to do the marking. Yeah, I'll go forward a bit. So once that marking is done, so here they have almost finished that beam which we saw, right? Now you can see the 2 bar in the top and 2 bar in the bottom, and you can see the stirrups over there. Here again the same procedure is followed, right? Wherever we have done the marking, there we are going to place the stirrups. I'll try to go forward again. Yeah. Again, if you want, I can show you that video. I mean, yeah, that particular thing. Yeah. So once all those stirrups are inserted, what we do is we try to lift it so that according to my drawing, 2 bar will go to the top and 2 bar will come in the bottom. Suppose if it was written 3 bar at the top, then we would have put one more bar here. So as a designer designs it, we are going to do the execution. Okay, you got my point, right? See, you can see only 1 and 2 bar here. Now let us say in my drawing there was one more bar at the top, and say there was one more bar in the bottom. Then what we would have done, we would have put 3 bars here. As of now there is only 2 bar in the drawing, that is why only 2 bars have come here. Again the same thing follows here. They have lifted it now so that you can see two bar in the top and 2 bar on in this. Yeah, look at this beam. In this beam we have 3 bar in the bottom. Now you can see here, right? 1 2 3. Now one question might have come in your mind, why is that there is 2 bar in the top and 3 bar in the bottom? See, all these things depend on how we do the design, right? Based on the design we get some reinforcement. Based on that reinforcement we try to do the detailing. For this particular beam I'll try to provide 16 diameter 2 bar at the top and 20 diameter 3 bar in the bottom. So how we do this design? With the help of designing softwares like ETABS or StatPro, we can do the design. Anyhow, few things I explained you when I was explaining you about the beam concept, that how these bars is going to come. But as I mentioned, that's not a right way to do. You have to make a proper analysis with the help of a ETABS software, and we'll try to do that. Anyhow, in the due course of the time, we'll try to put up a course on ETABS, and we'll try to understand all these things in a more better way. As of now, our concentration is only how the execution is done on the side. So we'll try to concentrate on that itself. So this is how it is done. Yeah. So again, he'll try to lift from here so that the other guy will bind it here. So again, these two areas should be taken up. Now that bar bender will come and he'll tie this again. So you lift it here now so that he can tie it easily. You got my point, right? But here what happens? There is 2 bar in the top and you can see the 3 bar in the bottom. So again, maybe the load coming on this beam was more. That is why the structural engineer has given 3 bar in the bottom and 2 bar in the top. Yeah, I'll try to go forward. I hope it's understood up to here, right? So once that is done, this is how your beam is going to look finally. Once they've arranged everything, right? You can see that, right? This beam has passed through the column. And one thing you need to observe, which is very interesting, near the support, if you look at the stirrups, they're closely spaced, right? Because in the drawing it was mentioned you need to provide 5-inch center to center spacing. If you want, I'll make use of. Yeah, we'll try to understand. See, in the drawing it was mentioned from this stirrup to this stirrups you have to provide 5-inch center to center. Again, it is 5-inch center to center. Again, it is 5-inch center to center. This is what was written in the drawing. Again, it was written 5-inch center to center. Okay, and as I mentioned you, this from the face of this column, this first stirrup should not be spaced more than 50 mm. You cannot space it more than 50 mm. Okay, that is written in IS 13920. The reason behind that is because what these stirrups are provided, I'll make use of text so it will be easy for you to understand. Yeah, what is annotate? Yeah, see, the reason is that near the support, near the support, shear force, okay, shear force will be maximum. near the support shear force will be maximum. So if shear force is maximum, if shear force is maximum, more number of stirrups is required, right? The stirrups is provided in order to counteract that shear force. So if shear force is maximum, more number of stirrups is required, right? And how do you provide more number of stirrups? By providing lesser spacing, by providing by if there is some spelling mistake, please forgive me for that. By providing lesser spacing, what will happen? We are going to give more stirrups, right? More stirrups, right? So this is near the support. Now come to the center part. Near the center, my shear force will be less. My shear force at center, shear force will be less. If shear force is less, what will happen? Less number of stirrups is required. Less number of stirrups is required. And less number of stirrups can be provided by increasing the spacing, by increasing the by increasing spacing. So you can see in the drawing, near the support they have given 5 inch near the support. Okay, yeah, I'll write it near the support, 5 inch near support. Okay, and at the center you can see it was mentioned 10 inch in the drawing, right? So 10 inch at center. So the logic behind that is, this is the logic behind that. Near the support, this is my support, right? So here my shear force will be maximum, so I'm placing it a lesser spacing. If I go to the center portion, I'm increasing it to 10 inches, right? The second reason what I was speaking was, you look at this, what the code is saying, you cannot give more than 50 mm. Actually what happens, yeah, I hope this is understood. Okay, yeah, try to discard this. Yeah, pen, yeah, wait, screen pointer option, erase all ink, pointer option. Yeah, so see, this is the face of my column. So what is the shear force? When actually when there is more load coming on the structure, the shear force will try to generate, and your shear force will, the cracks will form in this way. If this is my beam, this is how the cracks is going to form. So if you're not going, if you're increasing the distance from here, what will happen? These cracks will happen. I mean, these cracks will propagate here. These stirrups are provided to reduce that crack width. To reduce the crack, we are going to place this stirrup, because this is how in a 45-degree my cracks will arise. So in order to stop this crack due to the shear force, more shear force, I'm providing this reinforcement. So this reinforcement will act like a confinement for the concrete, so that these cracks will not try to propagate. That is why we try to provide these stirrups. So the reason behind that was, I'll erase it again. The reason was that if you're not providing within 50 mm, and let us say you're not provided this, okay, yeah, let us say you're not provided this stirrup, and directly you're provided your first stirrup here. That means from the face of the column to this portion, what is happened? Your spacing has increased. Now let us say this spacing is somewhere 150. Let us say it is 150. Now from the logic, I know that near the support your shear force is maximum. If shear force is maximum, more steel is required. Now from your face of the column to the first stirrup, that is 150 mm. So what will happen? The cracks will start to propagate, and there is no one to stop that crack. So that crack will start on going this way. Now what happened? The moment it reaches here, this bar, what you can see, right? It will try to stop that crack. Similarly, it will not allow the crack to propagate in this way. Whereas in this portion, you don't have any stirrup, right? Because let us say the first stirrup is not here. You're providing your first stirrup somewhere here. What will happen? The crack will try to propagate from here. There is no one to stop here, right? Right, there's no one to stop him here. That is why the code mentions that you have to provide the first stirrup not more than 50 mm. That is the first logic. The second logic, what actually happens is, if you wait, actually what happens, you need to do the binding of this, right? If you're not keeping it like you see 50 mm is that, I mean, with the help of 50 mm, if you're doing lesser than 50 mm, the bar bender, for the bar bender it is difficult to do the binding of this particular stirrup, right? Because he has to keep it hand inside, and with the help of that link, with the help of the binding wire, he's going to do the binding. So this 50 mm space is enough for him to do all this activity. You can even do the instead of 50 mm, you can give 20 mm also. But 20 mm if you give, how the bar bender will try to bind this particular stirrup? Because it doesn't have any space here. That is the reason the code say, the one which I told you in the beginning, that is a right way, that is a technically it is correct. And a few people also keep tell this theory that it is easy for the barbender to, you know, it is easy for the barbender to tie this particular stirrup if the spacing is somewhere 50 mm. That is why the code says that you have to provide it 50 mm minimum, so that technically it is correct, and also the person who works at the site, it is easy for him to bind this particular stirrup. So this is the reason behind all those things. I hope this is understood. Yeah, I'll try to erase all, and also we'll try to erase this. Yeah, how to erase this. Yeah. Yeah. So finally, I hope that is understood so far whatever I explained you. I hope those things are understood to you guys, because we have to understand in this way. Only then we'll be technically strong and we'll be able to do the work practically at the site. Just by looking at the beam, this will not help us to be a good engineer, right? Yeah. Once that is done, look at this bar. Now what they are doing, these are the extra bar. See, two bar in the top and two bar in the bottom we are already provided, right? Along with that, these are the extra bar which goes in. So we'll try to see that with the help of a drawing again. Yeah. Now the bar what is providing, we'll try to take some other drawing. Yeah, yeah. See, now look at this drawing, okay? So what is written here? You need to provide 25 diameter 2 bar, and also you need to provide 16 diameter 1 bar. That means you have to provide 25 diameter 2 bar at the side, and 1 bar of 16 diameter will come in the center. Now look at the bottom portion. In bottom, you need to provide 25 diameter 2 bar, and over that you can see one more layer here, right? So this is your extra bar where you have to provide 25 diameter 2 bar. So what we saw in the video right now, so far what we saw was only the top bar. Once the top bar is arranged, see all these other top bar, go back. Yeah, what I saw now, right? So according to this particular understanding of the drawing, top I have provided 25 diameter 2 bar, bottom I have provided 25 diameter 2 bar. Along with that, it was written you have to provide another 2 bar of 20 diameter. So this bar band is trying to put that additional 25 diameter 2 bar. This is how they pass it practically at the site. Okay, so once these bars are passed, you'll try to bind it. You'll see that. So this is how they have to pass it practically at the site. So once the main frame is put up, that is 2 bar in the top and 2 bar in the bottom, and once the entire beam frame is put up, it is easy for them to put the extra bar. So this is how they put the extra bar. They're passing 2 bar of 25 diameter on this side and one on the other side. And then the bar bender with the help of this binding wire, this is called as binding wire, is going to fix it. We'll try to go forward a bit, right? So he's trying to put the second extra bar. You can see it here. Yeah, you can see it here, right? So these are the two extra bar what they inserted. Now they are will try to bind it. Yeah, yeah, you can see it. The same. So the one which we are seeing is completely different from what we read. I don't have the exact image of that particular beam, but I hope the concept is understood. Okay, I'll try to go forward a bit. So this is how they do the work at the site, right? You can see the bar in the second layer, right? I'll pause it a bit. You can see that there's a wait. Yeah, ouch. Yeah, now it's clear. So bottom there was 2 bar. We have provided 2 bar. Now again, according to that drawing, in the top also we should have provided 2 bar of 25 diameter. That is why you can see the top bar of 2 bar in the second layer. We call this as second layer. This is my first layer and this is my second layer. So this is how the things are done at the side. In the same way, even in the top also they have provided the same thing, but that is based on the different drawing. If I have to pause it here, you look at here. So top there is one and the second bar here. In the same way, bottom they have provided, I mean in the next layer they have provided one bar and second bar is here. Same way in the bottom, there is one bar here and there is one more bar here, and over there they have provided one more bar here and one more bar here. If I want, I'll try to pause it here and we'll go back to the drawing. And according to that drawing, we'll try to see one of the yeah, there's no exact image of that, but yeah, I don't have an exact image of that particular beam, but anyhow, I hope it is understood. Like you can see here, it's a 20 diameter 2 bar at the top. Similarly, you have to provide 25 diameter 2 bar. Along with that, you have to provide another 16 diameter. That is 2 plus 1 comes out to be 3 bar. So that means bottom I will provide 3 bar and top I'm going to provide 3 bar. That is 20 diameter 2 bar and 1 of 12. Again, you can see in the bottom, look at this 16 diameter bar. So this 16 diameter 2 bar is the extra bar which will come in the second layer as we saw. Similarly, let us say there was one more bar which is written again 16 diameter 2 bar in the second layer. Then even in the top we would have provided another 16 diameter 2 bar in the second layer. That is what we saw in the drawing, right? This is what we saw in the drawing. Yeah, so this is what we saw. Yeah, so this is how my so once all things are done, this is how my entire beam is going to look. So everywhere, wherever there is beam layout, we are going to fix the beam reinforcement, and based on that, this is how my entire beam is going to look once everything is completed. So this is my beam. That is, this is how my beam is going to look, right? If you observe it carefully, this is how my beam is going to look. So in this, we need to understand one more point. We'll try to see that. We'll try to address that. It's a very important point. Yeah. So you have to look it very carefully. Yeah. Yeah. So this is what I'm trying to explain it. You have to observe this particular beam carefully. We'll try to see the next beam. You can see there is some reinforcement which is cut here, right? Try to observe. Look at this reinforcement. These reinforcement are not going full. They're just going half, right? Whereas on the top layer, this is one, this is second, and this is third. These are running full throughout the beam. Whereas you concentrate on this particular bar and this particular bar, they just cut here, right? In the same way, on the other side of the support, this is my support, that is a column. Here also same thing is happening. Here also same thing is happening. See here, top you can see 1, 2 and 3 bar running, but in the bottom region you can see this bar and this bar, they cut to this distance, right? So what is the reason behind this? We'll try to see that now. So before that, you guys need to understand how the bending moment of a beam is going to look. So we'll try to draw a bending moment here. Yeah, same thing, right? And this thing you have to observe, it is near the support itself, not more than that. It's not other than the support, only near the support we can see this extra bar. We'll try to see that. Yeah, you can observe it, right? I'll try to pause it somewhere here. Yeah, I'll try to pause it. Now you can see the bottom bar, right? So this is going up to only up to this distance, whereas top bar is going for the full distance, whereas this bar is going up to this distance. So what is the reason behind that? So before understanding the reason, we'll try to see the same drawing. What is now look at this particular drawing. Yeah, we'll try to see this drawing now. Yeah. Now I hope this is understood. Again, let me explain it. You have to provide 20 diameter 2 bar at the top. You have to provide 20 diameter 2 bar at this portion and also 20 diameter 2 bar in this portion. That means your top bar will run throughout from this particular span to this particular span. I mean this entire span will have a 20 diameter 2 bar at the top. In the same way, the bottom portion you have 20 diameter 2 bar and also you have 20 diameter 2 bar. That means again throughout the span you're going to run 20 diameter 2 bar throughout, and only in this particular span, that is from this column to this column, you are going to provide another 16 diameter 2 bar in the second layer. Now we come to the center point. Look at this. This is the center of the column. This is my first column, this is my second column, and this is my third column. This is my center column, right? So the extra bar what we saw right now, I told you that that bar has not gone completely. So you can observe it carefully here. Look at here. So this bar, you can see the yellow color. It is in the second region. This is my first bar. You can see one more yellow line here, right? So this bar is gone only up to 5 feet from the face of the column. It is mentioned you have to provide up to 5 feet. This is in feet and inches. And also from this face of the support, you have to provide it only up to 3 feet 3 inches, right? You have to provide only up to 5 feet, 5 feet from this face. You have to provide 3 feet 3 inches from this face, right? So again, same thing we'll try to see there. You can see the same thing that has happened at the side, right? Yeah, yeah. Can you see it here? Yeah. Uh, Let me go back. This video is taking more time, but that is fine. We have to understand all these things. Only then we can become a good engineers, right? Yeah. So this is a, I'll make use of a pen, right? See, where is this marker? Yeah, see, right? So this is that length, what I saw in the drawing now, no? So this bar you can see here, right? So this bar, the bottom bar, from the face of the column, this will be only up to 5 feet, only 5 feet. In the same way, can you see a bar here? Right? The bar is stopped here. Again, from that particular drawing, we understood that from this face of the column, this bar will extend only up to 3 feet, right? So I'll try to play a video. We'll try to see that in a better way. I'll discard it. Observe it carefully. Look at this bar, right? Yeah, look at this bar. Can you? Yeah, I'll play it. We'll come to that bar again. Yeah, just bear with me. It's taking some time. Yeah, now it is clear, I guess, right? Yeah, you can see this, right? Again, I'll make use of pointer, not an issue. This is my face of the column from this here to this distance, what you can see. So this is 5 feet that we saw in the drawing, right? Yeah, again. Yeah, again, this here, it is 3 feet. Yeah, you can see that this is a 5 feet and this distance is 3 feet. This distance what you can see from here to here end of the bar, this is 3 feet. Okay, so that is mentioned in the drawing. According to the drawing, we'll try to do that practically at this site. Now you have to understand what is the logic behind that. So I'll make use of screen here. Anyhow, I explained it to you guys, but still let me explain it once again. Pointer option. Yeah. See, this is my continuous support. This is my continuous support. This is my one end. This is my column. This is my second column. I hope it is understood. This is my third column. And let us say this is my fourth column. So actually, and this is my one more column. Okay. All these are the fixed support. They are all fixed. That means you have a column and you have a beam. That is why all these are a fixed support. Actually, what happens when the load comes on the beam, and due to the beam and the slab behavior, I'm going to get this kind of bending moment. Can you see this? This is the kind of a bending moment that I'm going to get. So what did you understand from this? That means here I'm going to get a positive bending moment. That is, my beam is going to sag here. Okay. And here I'm going to get a negative bending moment near the support. That is, my beam is going to hog. Hog in the sense, my beam will try to come up. Similarly, near the support, again, this is hogging. Again, this is near the span, it is positive. Again, I have negative bending moment. If it is a negative bending moment, that means your beam is trying to come up. That is hogging. Since my beam is trying to come up, I need to provide extra bar, because if my beam is trying to come up, that is lift up, I need to give top reinforcement. Only then my beam will not lift up. That is why what you can see, near the support, you can see this reinforcement has increased. This reinforcement length we have given only up to this distance. From right, only up to this distance we are giving that extra reinforcement, because if I extend it from here, what will happen? Because my here sagging moment is there, so already I provide a bottom reinforcement, whereas negative bending moment will happen from here. Negative bending moment will happen only from here. That is why what we do, we try to give only extra bar up to this distance, because if you're giving even beyond this, there's no point of providing the bar beyond that, because your sagging moment will start from here itself. You can see this is the cutoff point, right? From here sagging moment is there. Only from here negative moment is happening. That is why only near the support you can see the top extra bar. That is right from the, I mean, from this particular video we understood. From here I need to provide 5 feet. From here I need to provide 3 feet. I hope this is understood. I made it very roughly here. Okay, on white screen. We try to see that again, not an issue. See, so I'll try to draw it here itself. Yeah, now we are going to get a better picture. Screen. Yeah, see. So this is a junction point, right? So this is how my beam is going to show its behavior. This is my negative moment, and from here, so this is a negative moment. That is hogging is this beam. You can see this beam. This beam will try to lift up. If this beam will try to lift up, that means we need to stop that. That stop can happen only by providing top reinforcement, right? That is why we are providing 3 bars at the top, and you can see this curtailment, right? So from here what will happen, the sagging moment is going to start. This is my cutoff point. That is why I'm going to give extra bar only up to this distance, that was 5 feet, and from here only up to this distance, that is 3 feet, right? I'll discard it here. uh, yeah, now we will try to see that video. That is why you can see, can you see it, right? So this is how it is. So only up to, yeah, let me explain it here again. Yeah. So what happened? Let us say your negative moment is coming like this, and from here the positive moment will happen. Okay. So your negative moment is only up to here. This is the point where hogging moment is created. That is why I'm providing top extra bar only up to this region. After this region, what is happening? Your beam is trying to bend in this way. That is sagging. So for that reason, what we are going to give bottom reinforcement. That bottom reinforcement you cannot see now because it has gone inside this beam. Only near the support this behavior will happen. That is a reason what we do. That is the reason what we do. That is the reason what we do. We give extra bar only near the support, yeah, top extra bar, in order to avoid that hogging moment, right? You can see only near the support that is happening, right? And nowhere else. Yeah, I hope this is clear. We have taken a long time to understand that, but I hope it's understood. If you're not understood, drop me a comment. I'll explain you in a more better way. Anyhow, I'll try to upload another video so that we'll get a better picture. Yeah, we'll try to see the drawing again. So this is how the drawing is all about, right? So you're taken 5 feet from here, you're taken 3 feet from here. um, yeah, let me explain it here. I hope it's understood, but still I want to make sure that you guys don't have any doubt. Yeah, so this is my support. Okay, this is how my hogging moment is created. This is my sagging moment is created. Again, yeah, wait, let me make it in a better way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is my hogging moment, and this is how my hogging moment will happen, and this is how my sagging moment. So again, it has to go. Yeah, this is how it is. Okay, I hope it's understood. So I have a negative moment here, I have a positive moment here, and I have a negative moment here. So this particular area, in this particular area, my beam will try to lift up. If my beam will try to lift up, what will happen? I need to provide more reinforcement. That is why you can see a 20 diameter 2 bar and 20 diameter 2 bar, right? Whereas in here, in this region and in this region, you are providing only 20 diameter 2 bar, 20 diameter 2 bar. But whereas here, already you have provided 20 diameter 2 bar. Along with that, you are providing another 20 diameter of 2 bar. That is, since I don't want this lift to happen, this is called as hogging moment. So a hogging moment will create negative, I mean, it's a negative bending moment. So your beam will try to come up. That is why we are giving more reinforcement. Now your beam is trying to come up only from this region, right? Only from this region your beam is trying to come up. That is why this extension what they have given in the second layer, right? So this extension is only up to 5 feet. So your bending, your negative only is up from here. From here it's changing its sign. That is positive bending moment. It is positive. So you don't require the top steel. Only the bottom steel is required. Only the bottom steel is required. So this is my cutoff point and this is my cutoff point. That is why I can see only 5 feet from here and 3 feet from here. I hope it's understood now. But whereas here you have a sagging moment, that is positive reinforcement. That is why you can see in the bottom you have provided 20 diameter. Along with that you have provided 16 diameter 2 bar, right? You can see only in this, I mean in the bottom layer. Why? Because here positive bending moment is there. So your beam will try to come down. If your beam is trying to come down, I have to stop it. How I'm going to stop it? By providing more reinforcement. So that is why near the, I mean at the center portion, you can see 20 diameter 2 bar and 16 diameter 2 bar. But here your beam is trying to lift up. That is why we are providing more reinforcement, and this extension we are doing only up to 5 feet, because after this again this bending moment will change its sign from positive, I mean yeah, from negative to positive or positive to negative, one and the same. Yeah, I hope it's understood now. Anyhow, we'll try to see clear my drawings. Yeah, the same whatever I explained you, right? Whatever I explained you so far, it holds good for each and every beam. Now you can, you got an idea, right? So look at this here. Again, it is a support. Okay, so in this support, there is a support here. So that is why they have given it is a 4 feet. You have to do the extension. Same is here again. Again, it is a negative bending moment will be created here. That is why you have more reinforcement near the support, and this extension is 3 feet 6 inches and 3 feet 6 inches, whereas everywhere it is the same thing. So this is the logic. Now look here, in the bottom here sagging moment will be more. That is why you are providing more reinforcement in the bottom, whereas near the support you have a hogging moment. That is why you are going to provide 25 diameter 2 and 20 diameter 2 and 25 diameter 2, and this is the extension what you're doing, right? I hope it's understood. If you want, yeah, that's it. I hope it's understood up to here. Yeah, now comes one question in your mind, that why that length is only up to 5 feet and 3 feet, not more than that. So this is what is written in the SP34 code book. So you can see here. So forget about all other things. Okay, it will be difficult for you to understand. Just concentrate on those things what I'm explaining. Just concentrate on this number. What is written here? 0.25 L1 and 0.25 L1. So this is that length what they have given. So this is a length of curtailment. So this is a length of curtailment. So you have to make use of this formula of 0.25 L1 and 0.25 L1. And what is L1? L1 is from this center to this center support span. I mean, yeah, distance. That is what is effective span. So we'll try to put this we'll try to put this formula. Remember the formula is 0.25 into L1. Yeah. We'll try to go back now. Yeah. Yeah. Now we'll try to apply that logic here. Now you have to make use of a calculator and you have to do it. What is this span from this center to this center? For that I need to refer this particular drawing. In this I'm going to get, I'm just concentrating on this span. Try to count it now. So from this span to this span, okay, I'll make use of calculator as well. Yeah, try to understand. I'm just concerned with this particular column to this particular column. What is the length given? It is 2 feet. 2 feet plus, what is this? 8 feet. Yeah, plus what is this? Again, it is 8 feet 9 inches. I'll come to the inches later. 8. So it comes out to be 18. So you have 6 inch here and 6 inch here. 6 inches comes out to be 1 feet. So I'll add another 1 feet. Okay, so it comes out to be 19. Again, I have to 19 is what? Again, 9 inches I have here. I have to convert it to feet. Let us consider 19 only. Right. So what is this? What was the formula there? You have to multiply it by 0.25. I'll multiply it by 0.25. How much I'm getting? 4.75 feet, right? How much I'm getting? 4.75 feet. Let me explain it again. You have to count the center to center, that is effective. From this column to this column, try to count what is the distance. So this is 2 feet 6 inches, 8 feet 6 inches plus 8 feet 9 inches. All together comes out to be 19 feet something, but I've taken only 19 here. If you do it exactly, you're going to get 19 feet 9 inch. Multiply that by 0.25. Why 0.25? Because it is mentioned in the SP16, SP34 that from the face of the column you have to provide 0.25 L1, and from the face of the column you have to provide 0.25 L1. That is why what I've done, making use of the calculator, I've calculated and I've found that I need to provide 4.75 feet length of the extra bar. So that is why in the drawing you can see it's mentioned 5 feet, because the engineer, to be on the safer side, he has given another, he has increased it by another 25 mm, I guess. Yeah, so that is why it comes out to be 5 feet. If you want, you can do even this calculation. We'll try to do this. So how much it is the extra length what you have to provide? It is 3 feet 3 inches. We'll try to see the distance between this column and this column. We'll go back to that drawing again. Yeah, what is the distance here? Now it's easy to understand. See, this is my column and this is my another column, right? So what is the center to center distance of this column? It is mentioned 13 feet. So the simple formula what we have, 13 should be multiplied by 0.25, right? Multiply by 0.25. How much I'm getting? 3.25. So that is why we can see here it is, since it is 3.25 is not a round figure, the structural engineer has made it as 3 feet 3 inches. That is why you can see a 3 feet 3 inches. According to my calculation, it is 3.25. That is 3 feet and what is that? Yeah, uh, yeah, 3 feet and 2.5 inch it was. But this engineer have made it round figure, and to be on the safer side, we usually try to round up to the next higher value. That is why we have given 3 feet 3 inches. I'm getting 3.25, but here he has given 3 feet 3 inches. So this is the logic behind all these things. I hope it's understood up to here. There's no more doubt after this. And the rest is about the stirrups that we have already seen, 5 inch, 10 inch and 15 inch. We already seen all these things. I hope it's understood up to here. If there is any doubt, you can comment it. I'll be always there to solve your queries. Yeah, we'll see you back in the next video. Thank you.